Hey everybody, we're back again. Welcome to the backyard garden. This is part of it so far. What we're doing today is we are staking tomatoes. And this takes me back to my childhood. Me and my brother, we spent a lot of time with my grandparents on their farm during the summer. Mom and Dad worked, so Mom would take us over there in the morning and we'd just spend all day with them. And what we're doing is basically the same thing you do with a tomato cage. The difference is my grandmother has always been a very
resourceful
woman. The way we did it then, we had the tomatoes in the ground and we'd take a garden stake is what we call them. It was actually just a 1x1 oak stake that was about 3 feet long, maybe 4 feet long, maybe 4, I don't remember exactly. We would drive up 4 of them in a similar fashion to what you see these posts, and then tie string around them. And then what this does is gives the tomato support when the wind's blowing or when the tomatoes start growing and it wants to lean one way or the other. This is your support system for that, and that's the same thing we'd do with those garden stakes. And I'm going to show you how we're going to do that. Our problem here is we got a little overzealous. There are 4 tomato plants right here, so. Might have just jumped the gun a little bit on our plants, but
we got excited.
It'll still work, we're assuming. What we're doing, we've got these stakes. They're 4 feet long. They're actual garden stakes. I think these came from Home Depot, maybe.
Yeah, they also sell them at Walmart.
Danielle got some at Walmart. Walmart is a 2-pack. Home Depot's a 4-pack. I don't know.
We don't know the
how
cost.
The price, compares to each other. But anyway. We have 4 of them. We're going to put them kind of like making a box around our tomato plant. We don't want it real close because you want to give your plant room to grow, but you don't want them so far away that the plant can lean when the wind blows or lean when the tomatoes start growing on it and break the stem. So we have a plant right here. This is a pretty good little plant.
Yeah. So when we first planted them, they were probably about, I'd say 3 to 4 inches high. And as they started growing, I started breaking off the bottom leaves or the bottom stems because I'd read somewhere that that's supposed to give the tomatoes a stronger trunk, basically.
And this thing ain't been in the ground but a month, I guess.
Yeah.
And
they were babies.
It's a healthy tomato plant. What we have in this bed is a mixture of topsoil that we have pile of here at the farm, and we also mixed in chicken litter, which we have massive piles of here at the farm,
and peat moss
and some peat moss. Yeah, so what we're going to do is, you see one end of this stake has a point. That's the end that goes in the ground. Now right here is my stake. Back here is the stem of my plant, so we're probably a good, say, 6 to 8 inches away. Make it a little closer than that, maybe about 3 or 4 inches away, about right there. And in this loose topsoil and chicken litter and peat moss mixture, it's very loose, so they just kind of push in the ground. And we're going to get down. We've probably got 2, maybe 2.5 feet sticking out here. So we're going to try it that way. We're going to move another one right back here on the back. Out right. Let's see, that one's leaning a little. Let's go about right there. And then we've got 2 more here. We're going to put one right here. And we'll have another one just about in line with that first one. About right here. All right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take some 1-inch cord. All it is, 1-inch cord. I'm going to roll off maybe 2 feet, give or take. Cut this off. All we're going to do is tie 2 slip knots. Danielle, come here close so anybody that doesn't know what a slip knot is, we can show them what a slip knot is. So what we're going to do first is we're going to make a loop in this so that we can tie around the stakes and then hook back on our rope and pull it tight. The way we do that is we'll leave, that's about 4.5 inches sticking out, and I'm gonna tie a square knot, just like that. So you see what we did there.
Just like you're tying your
Just like
shoes.
you're tying your shoes. You just make a loop. There's my loop. Take the tail of my string right back through the loop. So I got my tail through my loop. I'll give myself just a little more, and then I'll pull it tight. And what this is going to do is this is going to hold the loop in place and keep it from closing. So now we're going to tie a loop with a slip knot. Same thing, make a loop all the way around the bottom. See, we have you have a loop here that's going to be the loop that we tie into in a few minutes. This is going to be our slip knot. See my loop there? I'm going to stick the tail back through it. If I can get the tail back through it. There it is. Now, I just kind of cinch up my slip knot with the tail. Here's the reason why they call it a slip knot. You can see the string slips through the knot.
So I've always done it differently. I didn't put the extra knot in there really. I just made a loop and then...
Well, there are other ways.
Yeah.
We'll show you a different way here in just a minute. This is the way I like to do it, just because I can take all of this out and use this string on something else. And you still can the other way. It's just, this is the way I learned to do it. Now here's my square knot. Come back here just a second, Mama. If you look right here, that's the square knot that I tied just a minute ago. And all that's for is to keep my loop from closing up. So here's the loop that we have left. And we're going to go around the stakes. We'll go all the way around the stakes, and then the end of the string will come back through the loop, and we can pull tight. We're not going to pull it terribly tight. We're just going to pull it enough so that all 4 of those stakes have a little bit of rigidity to them, a little bit of support. You won't really be able to see this because it's on the bottom of this tomato plant. But let me get this one tied, and then we'll do one on the top. I remember doing this with Nana as a kid. That's what we call my grandmother, is Nana. And I'm telling you, Nana's a very smart lady. Always has been very smart. Just will come up with things that you wouldn't ever think of. And there was a time that we ran out of cord when we were tying up tomatoes. And in honest Nana fashion, she looked around and she said, "Wait just a minute." In just a few minutes, Nana come out with a little bitty white string that she didn't know she had until she went looking for it. And what it was the string out of the top of a dog food bag. When you pull the paper off the dog food bag to open it and there's a string left, she had untangled the string out of the dog food bag, and that's what she was tying up her tomatoes with. So very resourceful woman.
She didn't have to buy a string.
Didn't have to buy a string. Well, she'd already bought string in the dog food bag. She just decided to use it.
Yep.
Those crows are not happy.
Yep.
Of course, we're not happy with the crows either. So as long as the discontent is mutual, I guess that's okay. Let me show you another way to make a loop. Here I have the same string. I cut this one just a little bit longer so we can make our loop. I'm going to fold it over. You see, I folded it over. That's all it is. It's about 4, maybe 4.5, maybe 5 inches of string. Fold it over. And now we're going to tie a square knot with this loop. So I'll come around my finger and go. See, I've got a hole right here where my thumb is. I'll go back through the hole. Here's the end of my string. Pull it tight. And there's another loop. Look at there.
That's kind of the way I know how to do it.
So now we're going to pull this around the top of this tomato. And I'm not going to go all the way to the top right now. We may later on, as the plant grows up, we may tie another string around the very top just to give it more support up there. I'm actually going to go just below where the leaves are. Get some help on some of these upper leaves. Let's see. Get down here where I can show you what I'm doing. We have another tomato plant right here next to it that's growing into this one. So there's probably 8 inches difference in our strings there. So now I'm going to put through there. And I'm just going to pull it tight enough that the string will stay. That's all I'm doing there. That's my loop. And now, we're just going to probably just tie another square knot, I guess. Or another slip knot.
Yep.
Go right there, and right there. There you go.
That's
Look.
it. It just needs a little bit of support.
And you can see this string is not tight. What should tighten it up is as the plant gets bigger, it will push on the string, it'll push on the stakes, everything kind of spreads apart and tightens your strings up. So, now let's do this last one. All this is, again, these are Vigoro garden stakes. They're about 4 feet. Get them these came from Home Depot, I think. Home Depot or Lowe's, one. They are in the garden section. I know everybody's shocked with that, but yeah. They're in the garden section.
There are some stores that put things where they honestly don't make any sense, so.
Yeah.
So we have 4 different varieties of tomatoes right here in the garden. I say garden, these are our raised beds that we built, and we just build them out of scrap material except for the top border, the seat, yeah.
Let me show you. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how a seat works. And that was their full intention. And so if you're out here doing something and you get tired, you want to sit down a minute, sit
Yep,
down.
you can weed if you need to while you're sitting.
We'll do the same thing here. Let me find the stem on this one. So here's our plant. It's kind of mixing in there with some collards and some Swiss chard.
Let's see what kind this is. This one, this particular variety is a beefsteak.
Beefsteak?
Yep.
They should have named that one Tyler. That's a
Okay.
beef cake, isn't it?
That's
Not
a beefcake, yeah.
That's all right, Mama. You call me a beefsteak if you want to. I don't care. We also have Better Boy, don't we? Better Boy?
Well, I think we bought those. We actually bought those. These tomato plants we did not purchase. These are from Tyler's mom.
Thank you, Mama.
And she just had a really nice garden last year, and she decided that she was gonna start her own plants from seeds. And these are some of those tomato plants that she started from seeds. This
It's
one,
worked out very well.
whoops, I think I just broke that collard. I'm just gonna go ahead and break that off then. And we have a Kellogg's Breakfast tomato.
And there's an Abe Lincoln in there somewhere.
Oh yeah, and then Abe Lincoln and a Sunrise or something like that. We
You
have,
tell them what it is, May. We don't remember.
yeah, we don't remember. So, and honestly, the little tags, the writing has come off of them. So, but while Tyler's doing that, I can show you guys. Look at these collards. I mean,
And this is, what, second week of May?
yeah, second week of May, and these collards are amazing. They're obviously all organic. Haven't put any insecticide or anything like that on these, and as far as I can tell, it doesn't look like there's any. Well, that might be one little hole where a bug has had a little bit of lunch, but I mean, they look really good, honestly. So our oldest daughter Evie has a bearded dragon, and he enjoys eating collards. So this is just, it's much easier to come out here and break a leaf or two off, and it's fresh. You go in and you give it a wash and then give it to him, and he seems to really like it. And we were wasting, I guess, a lot of money on collard greens at the grocery store because you had to buy them in such a large quantity, and we would not.
There's no way he'd eat them before they started going bad. And there you go.
A
We have
staked.
a staked tomato, a staked tomato, a staked tomato, and a staked tomato. We have a staked beef steak.
I was gonna say we staked the beefsteak. This is our Swiss chard. This is one of the plants. It is gorgeous. And then this one is kind of making its way up. And some of the
A little too
basil,
much shade, I think. That
yeah, well, this one is kind of overpowering. But if you guys have any recipes that you like to, I don't know if a whole lot of people grow Swiss chard or not, but if you have any recipes, please let me know, because I'd really like to eat it instead of just, you know, letting it go to waste, hopefully.
We'll
And-
try one more on there. We've got y'all don't pay attention to the jungle that is our backyard. We are very late into a flock of chickens. As a matter of fact, today is Saturday, and we're supposed to start selling. We call it selling. Supposed to start selling tomorrow evening at 5 o'clock. And when you get this late into a flock of chickens, there's no extra time. We're probably a week to 2 weeks late on what we're doing right now, just
Yeah.
because there's no extra time.
Yeah. And also the chicken litter that we didn't put on the garden, it ended up in the yard, and so you can kind of tell.
It took off.
Yeah, you can kind of tell where it actually ended up. So in this bed we have some onions growing down here, some little ones. And then if you know anything about dill, I don't know what happened to this. I don't know if it got too much water, too much sun. And honestly, it just doesn't look good. But we bought that at a store. And it was one of those chain stores. I'm not going to say the name. But those are also...
It's quite possible that could have been the problem.
Yeah. And then these are also some tomato plants that we bought from the same store. And you can see those.
These are Big Boy and a Parks Whopper.
Okay.
Now, these tomato plants are planted in the same thing in this bed as far as the topsoil and the chicken litter are concerned,
And peat moss.
and peat moss.
Yep.
These plants have been in this bed about a week longer than these plants.
Yep.
So, department store, chain store tomato plants may not be the way to go.
Yeah. And I mean, they do have some blossoms on them, but they're just nowhere close to those others. And we may really enjoy that because those tomatoes might come in a lot later than the other ones. But we have some green beans growing in our grow bags. One of our projects that we're going to do here in just a minute is get a trellis put up for these beans to grow on, so you can find it. Over here we have some pickling cucumbers. That was one of the reasons I was growing the dill, because I thought, ooh, we can use our own dill in some dill pickles, and it's just not doing what we want it to. So if y'all have any advice on dill, that would be great. We also, y'all are going around our backyard. So when we put our house here, the yard, just letting y'all know, we live on a hill, so every grass seed that we planted washed. But these are some of our potatoes that we are growing from another potato.
Yeah, that was what, 3 potatoes?
Yeah, 3 potatoes.
And when they made eyes.
Yep.
And Danielle brought them out here and stuck them in there and said, well, we'll see what they'll do.
Yep.
Well,
that's what they're doing.
that's what they do.
This is a golden Marconi bell pepper plant. It gets a lot of sun. It does kind of look like something might have been nibbling on it a little bit, probably some sort of bug. And then we have some cabbages in our grow bags. These bags came from Amazon, and they were like $20-something, but I think they're well worth it, just because a lot of people don't have a whole lot of space to grow things. And they're really contained. You don't really have to worry about grass, or I haven't had to worry about grass growing in any of them. So these are our Black Beauty zucchinis. We actually got those from Mimi as well. So thank you for those, Mimi. And then we're back around to our beans. That last bag didn't have anything in it, so.
It's just there for moral support.
Yeah.
That's our moral support bag.
We're gonna do a little experiment with these tomato plants. We have a couple of pots that we're gonna put those in and see what comes up, because
those were grown
they're volunteers.
Yeah, Mama has a chicken run. I think she's got 7 or 8 chickens in it, something like that. And I can't remember what she said. I don't remember if she said she threw some tomatoes in for the chickens, some cherry tomatoes in so they could eat them, or what the deal was. Anyway, whatever happened, I think they kicked them out. And these plants started coming up right where the little cherry tomatoes landed. So we're assuming these are cherry tomatoes. We don't know for sure, but we're going to put them in the ground, or put them in the bed, or put them in a pot, and see what happens.
Our youngest daughter, Cora, she loves tomatoes of any kind, but she especially loves the cherry tomatoes because you can just pop them in your mouth and eat them whole. So she got one plant last year at field day from her school. So she could have either gotten cherry tomatoes or a flower, and she picked cherry tomatoes. So
yeah, and that plant was dead.
Yeah.
And it still made tomatoes.
Yeah, I think
it looked like a stick.
I think Cora may have Nana's gene.
It's a Nana gene. That's what we call it around our family, because my grandmother, I'm telling you, I don't know where she got it from. I don't know. But I believe the woman could walk through the yard and pick up a stick that don't have a leaf on it nowhere and stick it in the ground and grow whatever it was.
Yep.
She is absolutely amazing. So
yeah.
Maybe Cora got it. I don't know. But we'll see.
But we are going to get off here and get some supplies probably. And then maybe we'll do another video with the cucumber and bean trellis. And I'm going to harvest these greens.
We've also got to get a fence around what's going to be the pumpkin and corn patch, garden, whatever you want to call it. I think we've told you before, but last year we planted about 25 pumpkin plants, and we got a pumpkin, and
we picked it before it was even the size it was supposed to be.
Yeah, it was like a third of the size it was supposed to be, but I said, well, the rabbits ain't getting this one.
They did take one bite out of it.
Yeah, one bite.
But we by golly got it.
We had an electric fence pulled around it for the deer, because, you know, we see a lot of deer. Well, it kept the deer out, but the rabbits, they can hop. And they do just hop.
They go under.
It was low enough.
Oh,
I think it was low enough that they couldn't go under, but they just kind of walked up to it and went, So.
Yeah, we have a bobcat family that comes through here sometimes, and you can really tell when they do because the rabbit population decreases.
Yeah.
But
they need to come on back.
Yeah, they haven't been through in a while, just because we have so many rabbits. I told Tyler we should have named our farm Rabbit Hill.
Yeah.
But anyway,
it would have been justified.
Yes.
All right, we will get on to these other things, and we'll see y'all later.